Welcome, everybody. This is D. Durrell Spears with D. Durrell Life Solutions. I am here chilling at my office right now. Looking forward to having a conversation with you all about money as it relates to my business, building wealth, a precursor to me deciding to create a video about money and the psychological effects of building wealth, what all that, what type of financial or mental state you need to be in, was related to binary code in the Umar sector, or the beef sector, I may say. Had a segment talking about building wealth and black wealth. And I came aboard, I think, last week to have a conversation. And a lot of people liked the fact that I talked about some things in regards to as far as making money, building wealth that they were not aware to, and I had several requests to talk about money. So here we go. Before we get started, I'd like to say hello to Conscious Energy and also Miss T Pre. Appreciate both of you all for coming in and supporting me today on this particular topic. We're going to talk about the financial psychology to building wealth. As we get started, I want us to understand that there is a definite contrast in someone who is wealthy versus someone is poor. And I have heard the term time and time again repetitively that being poor is not necessarily a social economic status, but it's more inundated with the fact that you have a particular mentality that keeps you poor. And I'm going to talk about, in building wealth, some of the things that you should do and that you should not do. I'm going to talk about different mental health factors that contribute into people losing money as opposed to those who stay the course and win long term. I will dab a little bit into financial vehicles that I'm going to engage into some vehicles, financial vehicles that one would want to invest in on a conservative level, investing in a way that gives you peace of mind, and you're not necessarily interested in being more of a sophisticated risk taker, as opposed to participating in EFTs and cryptocurrencies and stocks and things of that sort, um, commodities, real estate, um, other business. That's definitely more riskier. So I want to talk about the characteristics of people who refuse to use their money properly or have a poor mindset, and what keeps them poor. In my opinion, ignorance is actually the most defined factor that contributes to lack of wealth. Lack of information, not wanting to learn information, not learning from your mistakes. You're foolishly and repetitively engaging in the same behaviors over time that keep you poor. Now, there's some other insinuating circumstances that may lead to people being poor, or lack of building wealth, such as health related issues, disaster related issues, natural disasters, family commitments. Sometimes it's just bad luck. But I don't necessarily believe in luck. Some things I think can be negated by planning and being strategic, as opposed to someone who is building wealth. One of the number one things that a person who builds wealth, the number one behavior or function is that they're consistent. A person who builds wealth, it's not always about how much money you are investing or putting aside to save or putting into vehicles that can build interest, compound interest. Is that you're being consistent. You're being consistent over time, regardless of the economic environment. So if you're a person that can't put away more than $50 a paycheck, that's better than the person who spends all of that money and they don't have any money. And that's the difference. Whether you could use it or not, you're managing to understand that I can put aside this amount of money that's not going to hurt me or make it difficult for me, and I'm going to do that every month, every 2 weeks, which is $100 a month. Okay, $100 a month is basically $1,200 a year, and let's say you did that for 30 years. That's $36,000, and to me that's minimal. That is minimal investing. But a person is consistently doing that. Now, one thing comes along with being consistent is that the longer that you invest, whatever amount of money you choose to invest, you're going to become more comfortable where you're investing this money automatically and you don't miss it. You don't see it. Psychologically speaking, as you view your account, you may even overlook the fact that you are putting this money aside. And so this $50 or more, because I'm just being basic, it becomes just like a car note. It becomes like a mortgage. It becomes like your internet bill. It becomes like your Netflix, where you know every month that this money is coming out, and it's just part of your budget. As you become more and more comfortable with this, you may want to up increase the amount that you're investing. $50 can become $75. It can become 100, 125. It can become $200. It can become several $100s that you're comfortable investing every month, where it becomes part of your budget. It becomes part of your face sheet. It becomes a part of the outgoing money that's actually working for you. And that's just basic wealth building. You have to save. You have to have the mindset that just because I make $10,000 a month and I bring home, let's say you bring home 8,500 of that, doesn't mean I have to spend all of that $8,500 that I bring home. I need to put aside a couple grand, or at least $500 to $1,000 a month. That's the difference between those who make money and go broke versus those who make money and within 3 to 5 years, particularly like entertainers and athletes, once that money slows down, they're broke. Putting money aside, not spending the excess of all income that you have accrued over time. Take a small percentage. I also want to say that when we look at the psychology of this, you're basically conditioning yourself. You're conditioning yourself mentally that every whatever 2 weeks or every Friday, whatever, this money is going to come out. And again, this money will become academic at some point where it's just a matter of a process. Simple transaction. No different than you It's no different than you avoiding to eat out twice a week. That's basically what $50 a paycheck is. That's it. I'm gonna avoid eating out. Instead of eating out every weekend, I'm gonna eat out on that Saturday, not the Sunday. Instead of me eating out for lunch Monday through Friday, I'm gonna take one day out the week and save that money and put it towards a savings account. That's just simple wealth building. And that's the psychological approach to it. You invest in a manner, or you save in a manner that doesn't cause any type of psychological distress and fear. You invest with a peace of mind. Okay? For those that want to invest, if you're investing, and I don't propose someone that has a fear of building wealth to invest in stocks. If you are going to invest in stocks, you're going to invest in stocks with a certain threshold, meaning if I make $7,000 a month, and I bring home $7,000 a month or $5,000 a month, I'm going to do $200 or $500 or $100 a month investing in stocks. Something that you're not stressing to do it, you're not thinking about it. You know that you can afford to do it. I'm going to do it consistently. It's going to bring me peace of mind, whether I lose that $100 a month or I gain value in that stock. I'm going to invest $100 a month no matter what. That's wealth building. Another part of, as far as the psychological contributors to building wealth, is that you minimize and you manage anxiety. Anxiety, from a mental health perspective, is characterized as a condition that is triggered by a person, place, situation, outside external stimuli that triggers a physiological change in your body, meaning sweating, heart pounding, shortness of breath, panicking like behavior. And in the midst of that, you may function and be out of control. When you're managing, when you are investing and you're trying to build wealth, you're going to have to manage and understand your level of anxiety about losing your money, particularly if you want to invest in vehicles like stocks and bonds and commodities and cryptocurrencies and other you invested in real estate, vehicles, businesses. You're putting your money at risk. Every type of investment in vehicle has a certain level of risk. Everything is not FDIC insured. Most of those investment houses are not. When you put your money in those things are not insured. So there's a certain level of risk. So my position to you, as the conservative or person that's not sure about investing, is am I want to invest in an amount of money, because the number one, I'm not sure about doing this, but I want to minimize my level of anxiety. I'm going to choose not to watch um the news that focuses on these stocks. I'm not going to watch, the investment shows, the CNN investment, the MSNBCs, the Fox News, um, Wall Street channels, and things of that sort that constantly talk about the markets. There have been several instances in which people have gotten wealthy over the anxiety and fear of other people. And I can talk about a variety of situations that happen. There are people who got wealthy over the tech bubble in the late 90s, early 2000s. There are plenty of people who became wealthy over the mortgage crisis in 2008, 2009, and 2010. There are people who have gotten wealthy over COVID. There are people who became wealthy due to certain wars. There are people who became wealthy over any downturn in any economic environment. Okay? Shout out to my brother TMK Media, who's very, very well versed in this area. He said non-investment products are the only items that are insured. SIPC does not cover most brokerage investments up to 500,000. This does not account account lists of value, only company solvency. Now, my position on that is that that's more on the investment side of what TMK Media is speaking on. I'm coming more into the as far as a person who manages mental health. There is a psychology towards that. And so I'm going to touch more into that. But I do definitely appreciate you for bringing that up, because I think that is important for the layman investor to understand how their money is being put at risk, if at all, if it's being risked at all. Okay, so let's understand that, and so appreciate you for letting me know that. But we have to understand, in all of the different economic downturns, recessions, and so forth that we have experienced, there are people who got out of investment vehicles that they shouldn't have gotten out of because of fear and because of anxiety of their money diminishing. So there has to be a certain level of mental discipline that occurs regardless of the downturns or upswings of the markets. Also, in that, particularly when we're dealing with losses and people lose everything, if not all things, there's a level of depression that can come along with losing your net worth, losing your retirement, or a healthy portion of it, losing your stock portfolio. So we're dealing with some levels of anxiety. We're dealing with levels of depression that can occur if losing your money. And one thing that I preach is that information can reduce fear. And there are people such as contrarians and so forth, financial contrarians and so on, who have gotten wealthy off of the fear of other people selling off and getting out of stocks in certain products that they should have stayed in and weathered the storm. There are people who bet on the decline of things, of stocks in certain industries, and they make tons of money off of it. And as I talk about this, one thing that I'm stating: avoid impulsive behavior. And when I speak of impulsive behavior, I'm speaking of you making quick decisions without enough information. You're making quick emotional decisions without looking at the long-term effects. In most cases, people tend to derive at it's time for me to get out of a stock because the stock goes down substantially 25, 30, 40, 50%. I'm out. We're not understanding that stocks rebound all the time. And even though it's down now, you may want to think about buying more shares at a cheaper price because when that stock goes up again, you're actually earning more money. Your stocks are more valuable. TMK Media also stated, yes, during the pandemic, they jumped out the market, then got back in at the wrong time, locking in a loss. Timing the market is not only a risky practice, but impossible, especially to the non-pro type. Exactly. Day trading is risky. Trying to time the market in day trading. Look, if you're not a sophisticated, well-versed investor, I don't advise you to do those types of things. Okay? So my whole point of this is to help the person that's not investing or thinking about investing or have fear of investing, understand what you're getting into and how your mindset is going to affect how much wealth you can build. Because it plays a factor. It plays a huge factor in the growth of your portfolio over time. Not only is it just limited to like the stock market, but also in real estate. There are situations in which the value of properties go down. That happens. Real estate markets go up and they go down as equally. Investing in businesses. There are tons of people who invest in a business and lose their money over time. Every investment that you take has some level of risk. An annuity has a risk. And that's just the facts. So, for the more conservative person, I think in our community, which I watched the show with Binary and the guys up there that were talking, this guy named Ghetto Intellect, I think his name was, forgot the guy, NBK, and so on. These guys are financially literate. And they talked about how the lack of wealth building in the black community. They talked about the lack of wealth building and understanding how stocks work, understanding how EFTs and mutual funds work. And as I stated earlier, the best way to reduce fear is information. The best way to reduce fear is information. The reason why black people don't invest is not merely just simple to the fact that they don't understand how these things work, is that they fear they're going to lose their money. The little money that they have, there's a fear factor. It's a fear factor that I'm putting my money in something that's going to be worthless in a week. And that fear comes from potentially upbringing and an environment. I know for a fact for myself, when it came to investing, my family, my dad and others, they were very, very hesitant to invest their money in fear of losing it. And that's just the facts. They were not interested in investing anything because in fear of losing all of their money. It was fear. So let's talk about some of the vehicles. And Tim K talks about, and he's an investment person, talks about annuities that have a guaranteed floor. We're talking about CDs. We're talking about money markets. Uh, you can buy government bonds, things of that sort. Those things are typically guaranteed, but they don't necessarily have a large as far as the interest and things like that or you're kind of already fixed. You know, fixed income investments. You know, they're not as risky as a mutual fund. They're not as risky as the EFTs. They're not as risky as definitely stocks. But you have to manage your money being in those vehicles because there are fees and things like that that do compound. Buying stocks online, whether it's at Fidelity or Schwab or some other investment, you know, when you purchase a stock, you're paying a fee for that transaction. Those fees add up over time. If you buy, you know, a hundred shares, 100 different times, or so, let's say you do 100 transactions a week, and it costs $8.95 per transaction. That's almost $1,000 in fees. So you have to understand that. Now, as I move forward, I just want to again shout out to Ms. Merv. What's going on, YouTube cameras? Redbone with the new money. My boy TMK is in here. What's going on, the Queen? Before you reacts, I appreciate you all for coming in today. We're talking about the psychological effects of building wealth. Those influences, financial psychology. And again, we want to avoid being impulsive. We want to avoid anxiety. We want to minimize feeling depression if you lost a substantial amount of money, which, as stated, people pull out too early. And when you pull out too early, you don't give your money a chance to rebuild. On average, the stock market over the last 50 plus years earns over 12 to 15% on average. That's what the stock market averages. The market always comes back. The market has consistently rebounded on every economic downturn that we have endured in this country's history. That's not changing anytime soon, from my perspective. What's going on, Tracy's World? How are you doing? Appreciate you for coming in. But as I'm speaking to my people, my community, one of the reasons why, as was spoken in Binary Channel, that we don't build the amount of wealth and we have $1.6 trillion in discretionary income, and why we only own 0.5% of this wealth, of the wealth in this country, is because we're not investing. And not only are we not investing, we're not even investing in ourselves. We're not even investing in ourselves. And we're not investing in other black businesses, which other groups of people do. But also, let's see, this is the psychological effect of how we think and feel about one another, and the lack of trust that black people have towards other black people. Even to this day, it cringes me to hear people talk so negative about a black business automatically being dysfunctional and poorly ran. And when we speak of particularly a business owned by a white person, it's automatically top of the line. Now, I can actually talk about an example of people coming to my business, and they're people that look like me, did not believe that I owned this business. They thought a white person owned my business. It was hard for them to conceive that an African American man owned this business. Matter of fact, I interviewed a black man and was willing to hire him, and he turned the job down to go work for a white company, even though he was impressed and could not believe that, you know, you own this. This is how did you did this by yourself, and how long? And you asked all these questions, and I'm offering you a job, a well-paying job. But again, you know, psychologically speaking, as we perceive each other as being second rate, we also perceive others that look like us to be second rate. And so, with that being said, he felt that the white man green money was better than mine. Forget that I've been around for 15 years and growing, but you have the right to do so. Press a one if anybody in this chat has ever read the magazine called Black Enterprise. I don't. I think Black Enterprise is only digital print now. I don't think they have a regular paper print at this point. Black Enterprise had a host of investment products that were black owned that you may not see and hear on investment shows on cable TV that have been around for ages, and those particular mutual funds, excuse me, and stocks are doing quite well. And there's not enough black money in those investments. This is what I'm talking about when we're talking about the psychology, financial psychology. Excuse me. I'm thinking. I know I'm in this particular content. I'm speaking from a broader sense, but I'm also narrowing it down to our community because most of the people in here are from the black community. It's a bit of a concentration on black wealth, and that's with any video that I create. There is a typical, significant portion of the content will focus on us because this is us. I know who my demographic is. I know who my target audience is. Do's and don'ts. Don'ts. You should never invest in money that you feel you cannot afford to lose. If you invest money that you feel you can't afford, it only leads to more anxiety and worriness and stress. Research any broker or any financial institution or organization that takes your money. There have been tons of financial institutions that have stolen people's money, and people running scams promising you're going to make 15 to 20% on the investment. Do your research. If you have a significant amount of debt, as far as debt to income ratio, that's not easy for you to manage, or it's above 25-30%, you may want to pay some debt down first before you start investing. You may want to, but also you may want to, and I would encourage you to have an emergency fund for at least 3 months before you start investing. If you're a person living check to check, and I don't think investing is for you. You want to get to a point where you're not living check to check. so that you can take that discretionary income and invest it in something that works for you. But saving is fundamental to building wealth. Taking care of your health is fundamental to building wealth. Having a stable mindset, your mental health is vital in building wealth. Those are things that you have control over. Make sure you do your research on any and everybody you choose to engage. I don't even care if it's the bank. I did investments with two companies that failed in my lifetime. Now, I didn't lose my money, but my money was at risk. That was a company named Putman in I want to say the late 90s, the early 2000s. There's a company named Putman. It was an investment company. I put money aside and I invested in a mutual fund. And I only invested I invested about $200 or $300 a month. And this was in the late 90s. And I wasn't even making that much money back then. I wasn't even licensed as a therapist. And within about a year of me investing, I had to get all my money back because Putman went down and they failed. That caused some anxiety for me. It actually changed my mindset of just investing and not really, I mean, I care, but I'm not saying I'm at the point where I'm watching every move of the account, but it forced me to be mindful of who I invest in and companies that I do business with. I had an investment with I invested in three different investment houses and companies online that switched names three times. And now I'm with Charles Schwab. I went from Ameritrade, got bought out by Schwab, and then before Ameritrade, it was Scottrade. I went from Scottrade to Ameritrade to Charles Schwab. These are things that can happen. I also lost a great deal of money in my retirement fund during the mortgage crisis of 2008, 2009. In 2008, I lost about 25% of my retirement at the time. These are facts. I These are facts. These things happen. I've never been in a situation where I lost a huge amount of money in stocks and things like that because most of my portfolio right now is mainly stocks and bonds. As far as investments, I have very little cash. I have very little cash. Matter of fact, right now I currently don't even own a CD or a money market. I should. I don't like 2 and 3, 5 year CDs. I basically like to have CDs where I can particularly get money out. I like 3 to 6 month CDs that different brokerage houses offer. I don't like putting my money aside unless it's just some money that I absolutely know I'm not going to touch for years. But we have to have a disciplined mindset. And I think that for anybody building wealth, you have to have the mindset to save. Okay? You have to have the mindset that you're going to save a certain amount of money no matter what your situation is. You're putting investment inside of a budget. So it becomes part of your monthly routine, just like you pay regular monthly bills, car note, mortgage, cell phone bill, cable, Netflix, investment. You're paying yourself. And that's just my perspective. And so I want us as a people to understand we shouldn't be scared to invest, but we're freely throwing our money away through consumerism. Your money was better put in investing in other vehicles as opposed to you just being a consumer. And it doesn't take a lot of money to get involved in investment. Okay. So if anybody has any questions for me as in regards to what I'm talking about as far as the psychology, a financial psychology approach to investing, please ask the questions in the comment section. But my main concerns, because I deal with people who have financial issues all the time, financial stresses in therapy. And one of the issues is that they don't have enough income. But really, as you look at and I assess through therapy where their money is going, I find out that they do have enough income. They just have too many bills. They are undisciplined. They're spending money in areas that don't need to be spent. They're recklessly spending money on things that they shouldn't. They're taking vacations they shouldn't take. They're running up credit card bills. Actually, I've made people aware of this. Just think about the money that you spend on credit card bills and interest. That money that you spent in a credit card bill, just check. I just want everybody here to do a yearly statement on your credit cards and look at how much money you spent on that credit card for 1 year. You could take that same money that you put towards a credit card and reduce your spending and put that into an investment vehicle, earning you interest instead of paying MasterCard, Visa, Discover 25%, 22%. And that's basically it's really subtle, small changes to your behavior and a mindset of having a peace of mind by having more information to understand that the market goes up and down and has volatility, but you're playing the long term, the long term game. You're not looking to spend $12 on a stock and you think it's going to go up to $100 in a month. No, that's wishful thinking. A GameStop situation don't happen all the time. They got penny stocks that people want to invest in. Penny stocks also is a cheap way of investing, but it's also risky too because they're in the pink sheets. These little companies, the shares are worth 10, 12 cent, 3 cent, 5 cent, but they can belly up. They're not as reliable companies. But it is a cheap way where you can buy 10,000 shares for $150 if you choose to go the pink sheet route. I actually lost money dealing with pink sheets with those types of companies, and I stopped doing it. When I had my SkyTrade account, I had about 10 companies that I bought a whole bunch of stocks, the little cheap penny stocks, and none of those stocks are worth a damn right now. None of them. But I'm hoping that I can open up those to having a mindset that wealth building is a long term journey. It's not a get rich quickly type of scenario. Slowly building, steadily consistent, peace of mind. Your mindset is willing to weather whatever changes occur, and you're looking for the yields over time. That's what I'm trying to reinforce to everybody at this point, as it involves uh, um, you know, financial psychology, or your psychology towards your money. Okay. So guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Because I think I've covered everything, and got some good insight from TMK Media. Others coming in here, Portfolio 45 talking about yielding EFTs, and Amazon and NVDY, and all that stuff. That this is great. Um, One of the things that I have done for peace of mind is that um, certain brokerage houses, if you have over 25K, they'll manage your money for you. And I actually prefer, for my peace of mind, to go to a reputable company like Schwab, and they invest my money for me. I used to pick stocks myself, and research and pick stocks, and I was a decent. I want to say I was a decent investor. I was not a good to great. I was decent. I'm gonna tell you my two most um the companies that I made the most money off of. I want to tell you the two companies that I regret selling. One I was forced to sell. One company that I regret selling was Twitter. I made thousands of dollars off of Twitter. Hold on one second, guys. I'm back. I made thousands off of Twitter. And when Elon Musk bought Twitter, or he had to sell it, or whatever the hell happened, when he bought it or sold it or whatever, that was a forced sale where they basically changed whatever, the name and all that stuff, and they sold my Twitter stock, and they gave me the money. They gave me back the cash equivalent, which I was not happy about that, because I bought Twitter when it was an IPO. And imagine, TMK Media, when you buy Twitter when it first was introduced compared to where it was when it was sold, or Eli Musk bought it. That's the kind of money I made off of Twitter and dividend. Another company that I made a bunch of money off of was Walmart. I bought a Walmart in, not the national I bought a Walmart International Fund stock. It was actually based it was a Walmart Mexico stock. And I made the stock doubled in 5 years. Almost doubled in 5 years. Those were my two most profitable stocks. And I had some other ones that did really well too. Um, but those were the two most that I did that did the best. I had a some what do they call them? Pharmaceutical companies that did really well. I had some healthcare stocks that did really well. I had some energy companies that did really well too. So it's pick your poison. So with that being said, guys, I hope you all were able to gain something from this particular show that I'm doing. Um, I appreciate those that came in to that. I hope that you all enjoyed the show. I will be doing a live stream at least once or twice a week from this show from now on. I will be doing more uploads than anything. I'm going to be going out of town on from Thursday to Sunday, so I'm going to be pretty much off of YouTube for several days. But before Wednesday, from now to Wednesday, I plan to try to get in as much content as possible, uploads, and then maybe a live stream or two, maybe over the weekend, talking about some mental health stuff, business related things. This was a business finance that I gave a mental, a psychological slant to, and as it relates to investing and building wealth. And I hope that this is something that could be valuable, seen as valuable to the community. Hope you all have a great evening. Have a talk to you later.